Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in to Tea After Dinner. Welcome in. It's so good to have you. Thank you for joining me. As you are coming in, if I could ask that you not forget to get your daily heart maze. Tap the screen, share it out. I'm going to share it out for just a minute, so I'm going to step away for just a moment and I'm going to share it out. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome in. Welcome in. Everyone, welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. And thank everyone that showed up for lunch. It was a good lunch, and I thank you all for joining me for lunch. Marvin, how are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. But I thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to have lunch with me as Marvin. Thank you. Thank you so much. As we talk about private versus secret. And I'm going to give it just a few. So as you all are sharing it out and tapping the screen, I'm going to briefly go over what we talked about this afternoon for lunch so you can be up to speed, because tonight we're going to talk about secret. What a secret relationship is. What is done in the dark. What is done in the dark. But this morning we came from scripture, Proverbs 4:23, and that said, guard your heart above all else, for everything you do flows from it. And we said that private says, I am protecting what we are building, And a private relationship doesn't mean that you're hiding anything. It means you are a good steward of something sacred. That's what it means. It means that you are establishing boundaries. You are building trust. You are creating a space where two people can grow without the noise of everyone else's opinion crowding in. And it doesn't say guarding your heart does not mean you're hiding anything. Guarding your heart says wisdom. Your heart is the wellspring. And I used the analogy and talked about what does wellspring mean? So what does that mean? A wellspring is at the top. It's where the water is created. It is the source of the action. So the wellspring is where the water originates. It is the source. Everything flows downstream. Every river, every stream, every drop of water that reaches land, it starts from the wellspring. So if that is the source, your heart is the source. And so every decision you make flows from it. Every relationship you choose flows from it. How you treat people and how you treat yourself, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you walk away from, all of it originates from your heart. That's the wellspring. And that's what you want to protect above all else. If your source, if the wellspring, if your heart is contaminated, everything downstream is contaminated. So if bitterness gets in your heart, it flows into your relationships. If fear gets in your heart, it flows into your decisions. If unworthiness gets in your heart, it flows into what you allow in and how you allow them to treat you. You understand? But it also is in reverse. If your heart, the source, is healthy, if it has been guarded, tended, protected, everything that flows from it will reflect health. It will. So guarding your heart is not about being closed off or hard. It's about being intentional about what you allow at the source. Because whatever gets in, gets in. So we talked about allowing persons to sit at the table, giving them an audience when you are public about your relationship before it's on sturdy ground. So, Bridgerton, you all have seen Bridgerton. I'm just now getting into it, a day late and a dollar short. But it allowed you into their situation, right? And we keep looking because we're looking for a resolve. Who's going to catch this? And when is this going to stop? And how is it going to? That's what going public looks like in our relationships when we don't protect it. Protect the relationship. Protecting the relationship. It's a sanctuary. That's what you're protecting. It's not a secret. So tonight, and that was just a brief overview, and if you were not here for lunch, I will upload it to my YouTube and Facebook tonight or early in the morning. And then you'll be able to sit with it, muse over it, and see if it is applicable to you. I said this morning and I say tonight, I'm not here to instruct you on how to date, but I am here, as my coach would say, and that's David Burris, is to give you permission to think differently, to give you permission to think differently, and how thinking differently might make you a better person, but it can't do any more harm than what you're going through right now. Because how is what you're doing, how is that working for you? So I gave you something to think on for tonight, and that was what is done in the dark. I wanted you to muse over that statement, what is done in the dark. And Luke 8:17 says, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. So what is done in the dark will come to light. Yes? So let's go into that. Private protects something sacred. Private has nothing to be ashamed of. Private says, I'm guarding what we are building, and not everyone deserves a seat at this table. That's what private says. But secret says something totally different. Secret is something entirely different. Secret says, I'm hiding what I'm doing, and there's a reason it has to be hidden. Secret relationships open the door to what? Deception, to cheating, to living a double life. And deception is exhausting. It is. You have to remember the lie that you told to cover the lie that you told. And it's a snowball. Will you remember the lie that you told? You have to manage that story. And you must keep the worlds from colliding into each other. And here is what I know to be true. Here is what I know to be true. They always collide. I was married for 23 years. 18 years, wonderful, absolutely. The last 5, the worlds collided. And that which was done in the dark came to the forefront. And it hurt. Yeah. So there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Nothing, not one thing. What is done in the dark will always come to the light every single time. And when it comes out, and it will come out, it's a cluster. And you know what goes behind cluster. It's a cluster. Not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. So the hard truth is, if it must be a secret, this is information. What is the information? It's telling you that somewhere inside, you already know something is wrong. Because something healthy does not require darkness to survive. If you cannot tell people who love you, that's information. It is telling you something about how you value, how they value you, and what role you actually play in their life. So will you be a sneaky link? Just asking. If it only works in the dark, this is information. What is it saying? Shame is a signal. It is your conscience speaking. So pay attention to what you are being told. Private comes from wisdom. You are protecting something valuable. Secret comes from shame. You are concealing something you already know is wrong. You already know this. One guards the heart, the other hardens it. We know what Proverbs 23 says. 4:23 says, guard your heart, because everything flows from it. And Luke 8:17 reminds us that nothing stays hidden forever. So the question is not whether it will come to the light. The question is, what will the light reveal about you when it does? Not every relationship needs a public announcement. Not every love story, needs an audience. Keeping some things private is wise and healthy and good. But if what you're keeping is a secret, if there is deception underneath, darkness around it, shame holding it together, that is not protection. That is a time bomb just waiting to go off. Guard your heart, but make sure that what you're guarding is worthy of it. And you all know that I always close with ownership, responsibility, accountability. So the ownership is I own what I have been keeping and why I have been keeping it. Own it. Own it. You're not a victim. You are part of it. Own your part in it. Accountability says I will be honest with myself about whether I am being private or secret. Some of you might even say, you know how you say, I'm involved in both of them. Both of them, yeah. But be honest with yourself. Responsibility says I'm responsible for what I allow into my heart, into my wellspring, and what I allow to stay there. So, private protects, secret destroys. What is your relationship? Do you know the difference? Will you pull this back up later and sit with it and be honest with you? Will you? If there's anyone that has any questions that would like to join me in the box, or you want to put your question down in the chat, because I always review the comments, because I don't look at the comments as we're going along, because sometimes it makes me so terribly nervous and I lose my train of thought. But if you'd like to put a question there or come up in the box with me, you're welcome. Join me. Morpheus. Thank you for joining both times, Morpheus. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What say you?
I'm a firm believer that you need to have your relationship needs to be private but not a secret. Especially in the beginning.
Do you think I explained it well?
You did. You did. I think some people don't understand how important that is, especially in the beginning, because you're trying to build a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you allow too many people to be in the relationship in the beginning, you try to be this great love story that you saw in a movie, it never works out.
Mm-hmm.
Build your foundation first. Get your good solid understanding about how each other moves, and then as the relationship grows, people will learn about it, and things will progress naturally. Too many people try to be loud and act like they're on this whole honeymoon phase, and you don't even know the person yet. You don't even have a foundation yet. So be patient, build a foundation, build an understanding, build a common language with each other, and then naturally things will mature.
And Morpheus, even in the beginning stages of it, because you should be. This is a should be. You should be two whole individuals. And if you are two whole individuals, there is going to be disagreements because you are whole in yourself, in your identity. Where I'm going with this is that when there's a disagreement, because the foundation should have been friendship, and that person should be your best friend. Your best friend needs to understand that when I get in a relationship, because either I am dating with a purpose and the end result is to get married, they become, that partner that you have taken on becomes your best friend. And when something goes awry, it's not these outside persons that you should vent to. You should either let the temperature go down and then come back together and have a conversation where one listens and one speaks. The one listening is not thinking about how I'm going to refute what you just said, but listening to hear the heart of the other person, and not your best friend that's outside of this relationship. Because when you go to that person, they're only hearing one side of the story. And inevitably, that person that's telling it is the one that's going to assume I'm the victim. Oh, this happened to me. And not being responsible for what they did. Would you agree? Morpheus?
Yes, yes. And I'm glad you said know the person's heart, because that's one of the things that I talk about all the time. And then one of the things that my person told me when we had our first disagreement, that she said, even though you didn't say what I thought you would say or what I anticipated you to say, I knew your heart. And because I knew your heart, just because you didn't communicate it correctly, it didn't cause a disagreement because I knew your heart. And I think sometimes, especially with women, you have to know your partner's heart, because not men are not always going to say the right thing. We're not always going to communicate the right way. So sometimes this allows you to give each other grace in those arguments when you don't communicate correctly or say the right words, or be able to phrase your emotions the way you need to. Um, you know the person's heart, and because you know their heart, you know what they mean. You know what they're trying to say, and allows you to give them grace in those moments.
And not just it's not just a woman thing, it's a man thing as well, because a man is from Mars and a woman's from Venus. You know that book. We're not listening. We're not listening with our heart. How about that? We're not listening with our heart. And so we're not measuring our tone and our tenor and the depth of what it is that we're trying to relate. And so when we talk, we have a tendency to get either too gruffy or too loud. And we get in each other's space. You all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gifting. If you all could take time and do a power tap, please. And let's see if we can, before I close out here in another 20 minutes, if we can get me to 10,000. Can we do a power tap? I'd appreciate it. Thank you. But when we are not mindful of how we're talking to one another, talking to and not at, talking one adult to another adult. So I'm not telling you anything. And if you walk these streets late at night and you hear some of the jackassery that is said, they talk as though they're talking to one of their children. And yes, and women can be, men are this and men are that. And then the men are saying, women, they don't like us. It's a foolishness. And it's because we have yet to learn how to communicate with each other. So we say things that we cannot go back and get. We cannot unring a bell because we have allowed our mouth to write a check that our backside can pay. Tony, welcome in. What do you think?